I was standing in the prayer room and I was appealing to God basically because of a news report that I had heard that the Center for Choice was closing. And so I was looking out over the city and I was asking God to keep it closed. And it was in that time frame as I was looking out that the Lord just kind of spoke to my spirit and just said, come over to the land. And so I asked for directions. I went over there. I stood in that place and I felt like the Lord said to me, you no longer have to stand on the sidewalk, step into the actual land. So I stepped over into the land, and that's when the Lord just said, lift your hands to me and ask me for this land. And in that moment, in a moment of faith, I just lifted my hands and I just said, okay, Lord, I'm asking you for the land. And that's when he just began to show me a picture of the future of that land. And he said, no more business as usual. I desire that it be torn down and the foundation torn out, and that a park would be here in its place called Hope. And about, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months later, God kind of brought the person who is owner of that property to our attention. Then on the news, I saw where also the owner of the place was still contending to keep it open. And she was appealing to all of the people, hey, I need to keep this place open. I don't want to really sell it. And so I felt like, the pressure was on for us to get this land that he said that we could get. And so I was praying about it and I was asking the Lord, and I said, Lord, what do we do? And actually I approached this real estate man and I said, what are the best options? And he said to me, what would be really great is if it went to absolute auction. And I said, really? And so I didn't really understand what that means in terms of real estate. But I went to God and I said, Lord, what we need is an absolute auction. And then within a few days, he calls me and says, hey, you're not going to believe this. It's going up for absolute auction. It ended up being the day of auction. In the meantime, I'm on one phone with him. He's got another phone going to a man who's representing me on the ground at this property. The bid was going out, started out at a certain number, and then we just went up 1,000, and we kept doing that all along. And it started to really creep up there. And my partner said, hey, this is going to get out of hand unless we know what is it that God is saying. And I said, I'm not quite sure. And he said, we need to pray. And he goes, so didn't you hear anything when you went to the prayer room? And I said, actually, all I heard was Isaiah 61. So he opened up the scripture to Isaiah 61 and started to read what that was. And somehow, I don't know what happened, but we got disconnected from the guy on the ground. And this man actually, we really felt like we missed it somehow, and God didn't want us to go to absolute auction, or something happened. And we were kind of feeling really bad inside that maybe we didn't get it. And then a little bit later, we get a phone call and he says, hey, you guys own land. And we said, well, how much did we buy it for? And that's when he told us, I heard you say bid 61. And so that's what I did. And we both were like surprised because it matched the Isaiah 61. We now own the property at 61,000. We have a deed and a key. We have the name of it, Isaiah 61. And so now we're basically in the next phase of moving forward with God in this really beautiful adventure that he has our city on to build Hope Park with him.